No more cringe leadership trainings. That's right. Ditch the trust falls and the cringe offsites with the consultants that show up and teach you how to be a better leader or a better follower if your leader sent you there. There is a better way, so stay tuned. Leadership DM, Jay Scott's direct message to his team and clients. Welcome to Leadership DM. This is Andrew. Today's DM is an excerpt from Jay's executive briefing. Leadership training doesn't work. Systems do. And if you're like me, you've been to leadership training, you've sent your team to leadership training, and you kind of have a suspicion it doesn't work. So beyond telling you what doesn't work, he's going to tell you why, and more importantly, what does. So stick around.
So why do we turn to leadership training? Like, why did you guys all come when I said leadership training doesn't work? Because you were like, well, because I'm looking to leadership training to solve a problem I think I have. So, and I think that problem might be something like this, which is the prevailing leadership system out there today, or the outcomes of the prevailing leadership system out there today. First of all, that system is not written down. It's tribal, it's cultural, it's passed on from generation to generation, where they come into an organization and they just behave the way that everybody else is behaving. There's usually too many number one priorities to keep up. Priorities shift constantly and work struggles to finish. Everyone's burnout busy, nothing seems to move the needle. Escalations constantly get in the way of planned work. Heroics, hero culture. Heroics replace disciplined execution. Alignment is assumed, then breaks downstream, and then leads to rework. All right, so why leadership training doesn't work? So I'm sharing my personal journey. I built leadership training because I needed to solve all of these problems for my customers as well as for myself. I delivered then leadership training in so many different iterations over the years, culminating in the transformational leadership program over the last 6 to 8 years. And I personally was unsatisfied with the results I was seeing from the people that took the course. And we experimented with different ways of delivering it and ultimately landed on, after a bunch of research, what I'm going to share with you toward the end here. Leadership training is designed to sit outside the business. Okay. We send individuals to this training, not a team. There's no accountability for implementing what's learned in the work. So people go, they learn new language, they get excited, but execution rarely changes. Can anyone tell me about a time you sent people to training and then nothing changed but their vocabulary?
Yeah,
Oh my
sure.
God, we
All the
saw
time.
that. We saw that. Like, we invested heavily 20 years ago in project management and PMOs because we heard it was working somewhere. And then it was 70% of it was a disaster. So we were like, let's do agile, right? But they didn't really do agile. They were like, agile just means hustle, like hustle, cowboy up, but that's not at all how it was defined in its process, right? There's a lot of planning involved in agile frameworks. In fact, you're constantly planning every day, once a week, for every sprint. So vocabulary changes, but nothing actually changes in the work, but there's a reason, okay? So when leadership training ends, leaders are sent back into their organizations with a massive lift. And even if they're disciplined and super excited about the change, they're heading in to change how they work, change how decisions get made, change how priorities are set, all by themselves. And the change is universally rejected. People are like, what are you doing? Like, wait, that's not how we work here. Have you guys ever heard that? That's not how we work here. That's not how we do it here, right? And it feels disruptive. People are burnout busy everywhere. They're like, oh my God, I just hang on by a thread. And now you want me to do something differently? How do I know it's going to work? Boom. How do I know it's going to work? I have a client and we have implemented this with that client. And we were just having a discussion about how there is an executive accelerator that their global Fortune 500 company runs. And the high potential individuals in their organization every year get to go to this. They go to it as individuals, they learn. And on the team where we implemented this, one of them was like, I went to this, and it was great and it was cool and I learned things, but this thing's been running for 10 years in the organization. I've not seen a single thing change because of it.
Right.
Right. And that's because it's one, it's delivered to individuals. Two, it's with this model that they're training people in is not prescriptive or proven. It's an expensive experiment that doesn't get adopted. So, and it feels optional to everybody else. So there's no shared execution rhythm, no leadership team learning and applying together, no mechanism strong enough to hold when the priorities collide. and the organization pushes back. Like, hey, that's not how we do it. So leaders leave energized, Tuesday afternoon hits, and then those same leaders snap back to the way that they were operating before, right? Because they came back to the same meetings, the same arguments, the same 100 number one priorities, etc. And so I think that just in talking to my students over the years, quite a few of them have felt exactly this way. Like, I tried and it just was too hard. So I just kept doing what we've been doing. But our solution, a solution to the problem leadership training is expected to solve. In our experience, most leadership teams burn time, talent, and money reacting to work instead of investing it as capital. The ELPA completely shifts how decisions are made, so execution produces returns instead of a wasted effort. It's an accelerator where the executive, our customer, leads the installation with their team, with me and my team by their side, directly into live work. From day one, we stop reacting. We start operating leadership as an investment strategy. Time, talent, attention, and capital are allocated as opposed to work, right? That's what we do right now. We approve work. Oh, we need to do work. So we approve work. That's wrong. What we need to do is approve the use of time, talent, attention, and capital to ensure return. If you want to change the outcome, you have to change the vision. But like on a day-to-day level, from a leadership perspective, if I'm not getting the outcomes that I need, I have to ask for something different. Vision drives behavior, behavior drives outcomes, because people need to see the world differently before they'll behave differently. Because if they're doing it because they think that's the thing and that's the way they need to do it to be successful. Okay? First law of transformation, people need to think differently before they will do differently. Okay? So, and remember, a system is a set of processes and habits that lead to a result. So whatever processes and habits that they are using to not get the outcomes you think you need have to change if you're not getting the outcomes you think you need.
Thanks for joining Leadership DM. If you want to learn more about the leadership system and how you can install it on your team, check it out at 120vc.com, where you can begin installing this same system in your team with the ELPA, the Executive Leadership Performance Program. It rolls out in 3 phases. The first phase is a 16-week cohort, run twice a year. Don't miss your chance to get your team on board. Learn more about the system and all things executional leadership by hitting that subscribe button and also following Jay on Instagram. And of course, you can hit us up on the website. Build unstoppable teams with irreplaceable leaders. Until next time, Zoom at 5.